Welcome back to Society Case Files. My name is Robert, and today I'm going to build the Heldrake. This is for the Emperor's Children Army. And I'm going to also show some of the painting I did for him. For whatever reason, I decided that I would use this character for Thanksgiving. It's an event at the Warhammer store, and I severely regret it, but we'll talk about that in a moment. If you like this kind of content and you want to see more, please subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Maybe smash the like button as well. And if you would like to see more videos like this, please consider joining as a member. It's sort of YouTube's Patreon thing, and it will help me make more elaborate videos as I go along. Anyway, that's enough of that. Let's dive right into the build. As you can see, I immediately started off with the sped up version of the video because there's a lot to do here. And it's not just the building of the model, but also the painting. So I've got some of the painting at the end. I'm going to cut it up, and there will be timestamps. This video doesn't have to be over an hour long. It took me 4 days to get him built and painted. And to be perfectly honest, the paint job is not my favorite, and I'll explain why. As you see, even just from these pieces that I'm putting on right there, there's all these like sort of borders and almost like stained glass windows. And painting this thing is it was just crazy annoying because, you know, you want to do the panels in between. You want to keep the little borders their own color. I initially thought to do something that I thought would be clever and prime it in a certain way to make that easy. And that was not the best plan. But anyway, that's enough introduction. Let's talk about the build itself, because that's the more important part here. It's about, you know, what we're trying to do. The actual building was not a big deal. The parts are pretty big. They fit together fairly well. For whatever reason, the set of wings on one side or the other, I can't remember specifically which one, I just had a fit getting them to work properly. The first ones I did matched up perfectly. You've got a really nice little square that you can plug it into, and it just clicked into place. And when I say clicked, I mean it fit in there and you couldn't jiggle it. It was correct. But the opposite side did not do that, and I had to mess with it. And then on top of that, what I'm doing right there, putting that bottom on, I screwed that up in a major way, enough so that I had to go ahead and pull it all apart so that I could get the neck to work. In fact, you can see right there, the top part has this sort of U shape next to the two circular holes. And I had to take it out, put the neck of the monster on, let that dry, and then put the part on that I'm putting glue on there. I had to put it on again. I'm not entirely sure what I did wrong. So I really did try to analyze it and figure it out. Something didn't line up somehow. I'm not sure what it was. I even did some surgery on it and did some trimming, and I still couldn't get it exactly perfect. Now, the good news is that with my modifications and with all of my little jury rigging there, I did manage to get it to look like it's okay. So like the finished model is fine, but it was definitely not the best. And I wouldn't necessarily say it's the model's fault. I genuinely believe I did something wrong. I just don't know what, and I wish I could tell you. If you've built this model and you know what I'm talking about, please leave a comment and let me know, because it would be nice to stow that away for future builds. As far as difficulty is concerned, again, it's not like this was too terrible to build, other than what I just talked about. I'd still put it at a slightly higher difficulty than, your average models that you've seen on this channel so far. Like, it's definitely above a 5, just because of, what I encountered for me. So anyway, so that is the stuff about the building. We will now let you watch that. I'll come back to talk about the painting a little bit, and then we will do a reveal. The reveal is going to be it totally done, or at least me having thrown in the towel for the painting and called it good. So anyway, we'll be back in a minute. So that was mostly the build. I mean, the only things left were putting it on a base and some of the other very minor things at the very end. Nothing that you really probably needed to see. It would have just been fiddly stuff. And I didn't put it on the base until after I finished painting. Now, obviously, we're starting in the middle of this. I forgot to turn the camera on. All you would have seen, if I would have turned it on at the right time, is me doing, I think it was 12 layers to get that pink on its belly. It was madness, and it took way too long. And partially that was my fault. I should have based it differently from the get-go, first off. But even with what I did, I should have put down a base coat of white, and then I think the pink would have stayed better. So basically, I started off by basing this with lead belcher. I have lead belcher rattle can. I based the entire model that way, and then I went to town. You can see on the neck, I used a black contrast paint. It was Black Legion. And then I went to town with one of the pinks. Unfortunately, they only have layer paint in that color of pink, so it's pretty thin, and it does require a lot of coats to cover when that's going to be your primary color. That's why I'm saying that I should have put white on there first. As far as what you're watching goes, this model is pretty much that ad nauseum. I mean, there are so many of those panels on both sides too. So you've got all the ones that I'm doing, and then you got to flip it over and do a ton more. You've got them on the small parts. You've got them everywhere. Now, I was going to do the whole thing pink, sort of, like I've seen some of the Emperor's Children. But after I did the bottom and it took so many layers, I figured I'd be doing it forever, and I just decided that I would make it much more colorful. So I went with some Doomfire Magenta. I went with some of the random reds. Ball Red is on there. And then I went with base paints, and I just basically did it until I felt good about the panels themselves, how smudgy they were. Because quite frankly, the layers that I'm doing on the screen right now were very smudgy and needed multiple coats to make them look decent. And then couple that with the fact that it's just inevitable that you're going to get paint on those frames in the middle, and you're going to have to go back through and mess with those. So once I got the bottoms done, I had to flip it over and just start again. And I decided to go with a different color for the tops just to make it more interesting for me. And ultimately, that's where all of my color choices came from. I was just bored of painting, the one color, and I just had to do something different because it was crazy how many I had to do. I mean, even looking at this, I can remember how much dread I had knowing that it was going to be a long process to get through. So then I flipped it back over. We did some more touch up on these bracers. I'm going to tell you, I still wasn't happy with them when I finally threw in the towel. It was just really annoying. So this is the point where I figured out, I need to figure something else out if I want to make this work properly. And that's when I decided I needed to find my Corax White and throw that down on the model before I wasted any more time. But as you can see, there's no escaping the fact that you just have to paint in the lines a lot and all around the whole model and the whole top because I wanted it to be the pink on that area. After this, I started using a darker color, so I didn't have to necessarily get so intense with basically pre-basing it with white, and that did save me a little bit of time. But ultimately, the Heldrake is not a fast model to paint unless you just don't care about painting over the stuff and you don't really want to clean it up. And no shade to anybody who feels like they'd rather just slap some paint on there and not worry about that stuff, because let me tell you, there was several times during this that I considered it myself, that I was just like, why am I even doing this? Like, I got to be honest. I'm going to be very straightforward. Painting this model was just so little fun that I did consider giving up several times. I don't know what it was. I guess it's just all the painting in the lines. I guess that it's the monotony of it. It's the fact that you're just pretty much doing the same thing over and over. I despised it. And frankly, had I known before I got into painting it had I thought about what it meant to paint those panels the way I ended up having to, I probably would have just returned the model and never built it, because it just was not at all fun to me at all. Now, one thing that it did do was it taught me some things to keep in mind, some stuff that made it a little bit easier, or not necessarily easier, but just, paint techniques and colors and how they respond to certain things. For example, the lead belcher, probably not the best way to have based this. Maybe if I'd have based it with gray sear, it would have been a little bit easier to get some of this to stick. Couple that with the fact that using a darker pink, the Emperor's Children as opposed to Fulgrim pink, actually did make a difference at one point. But, all around, it's just a lot of, I don't know. I think this in particular triggered something that I just personally hate. I hate having to paint in lines like that. And I think I like painting smaller models all around too. Just the smaller minis. Painting these guys, especially this dude, he kind of feels like painting scenery to me as opposed to, a combat model. It's like painting terrain. And I don't know. For me, painting terrain is a necessary evil. It's not like, I don't gag for it. I don't find it super, super fun. And then, as I was going through this, and even as I'm doing that, I'm looking at that neck and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to do it for every neck segment and then all across the back. And I'm still missing all those small wings on the two sides and the big wings in the back. And it was just like, this is boring. So, I don't mean to badmouth the model if you love it. If you had a great time painting it, I wish I was you, because I wish it would have been fun. As for how I feel about it now, even when I do the reveal, I don't like it at all. At some point, after cleaning it up, half a dozen times, going in and putting in some more lead belcher over the parts that got the wrong paint on them, I just threw in the towel and called it good enough. It was close enough. There were still some smudges here and there. There still are. And I was just like, I don't care. Because if I would have really continued to be as nitpicky as I normally am, I think I would have just ended up not wanting to paint again for the foreseeable future. Because, it has to be fun. And if it turns into a chore, which this was, I don't know. It's just frustrating. Now, an interesting point there, as I'm painting those spines, I discovered something. I had based those white and then gave up for the night because I was tired of it. And when I came back, it didn't stick as well as when I just let it dry for only a few minutes. Like, letting it dry overnight seemed to make it actually worse to get the pink to stick to the white. And I was almost back to the same problem I had, just putting it straight down without bothering to base at all. So that was an interesting thing to discover. Now, I tried to make those pink. Those things ended up not being pink at the very end, the things on his head. And a few times I just made decisions that were expedient as opposed to aesthetic. For example, his neck ended up being black as opposed to any of the colors I used, just because I knew black was going to stick and cover, and that I could just be done. So, that's kind of where I got to. And I don't know. If I hadn't necessarily pledged the character for the big event, I might not have been quite so intense, and maybe I would have put it aside. But I don't know. I think this is one of those things that if I hadn't really focused and just done everything I could to get it done as quickly as possible, I may have just left it on the shelf and never finished it. It would have been one of those things that's like, yeah, I could do that, or I could paint someone who's actually fun. So I'm going to wrap this up in a moment, and I'm not going to finish showing you the entire paint job. Number one, because I ran out of card space several times. I had my camera overheat a couple times, and then I just turned it off a few times as well, just so that I could, move it around and get it done without having to worry about where it was in relation to the camera. But I think that the primary thing to remember here is that you're just going to be painting panels forever, and I think I've shown enough of that. But let's get to the reveal and take a look at what it looks like at the very end, after I just dumped half a bottle of Nuln Oil on it to try and basically wrap it up. Oh, before I go, you can look at those bottom wings and you can just see how much I had to do to clean that up. I used a marker for a little bit of it, but honestly, even with the precision of the marker in dark aluminum, that's an AK marker, it still was not the best because it's just hard to stay steady on those for me. Obviously, folks with much more steady hands wouldn't have this problem, but I did, and I still made a mess, and then I had to go back and clean it up. And that's ultimately one of the things that made it so annoying to paint, is all the times that it pretty much is you just going back to clean up again. But anyway, let's look at the reveal. And that's it. That's pretty much what I stopped on was, some blue, some cool stuff for the little spine, the red and that sort of thing. I mean, I'm watching this thing spin and I'm not seeing too many mistakes right off the bat, but all around, that's the best that I was able to do with it. But as far as the build is concerned, not tragic. The painting, not as much fun as it could be. Model itself, I don't really care about it anymore. So I don't really have anything good or bad to say. Well, I obviously have a lot of bad to say. But anyway, have you built a Heldrake? What did you think of it? Is this a model that you'd recommend? Let me know in the comments. Otherwise, this is Robert with Society Case Files, signing off.